Last week's Democratic National Convention made history, not just by nominating the first woman of Black and South Asian heritage atop its party's ticket, but also for being the first convention where Democrats credentialed online influencers. Undoubtedly, the effort functions as outreach to Gen Z voters who could be pivotal on the path to the White House, with new estimates reporting that over 8 million young Americans will have aged into the electorate come November. Joining me now for more is Olivia Juliana, political strategist. Olivia, it's always so good to see you. Look, I know that the national race is important, but I really want to talk to you about the down ballot races, especially in your state of Texas. We're looking at Colin Allred. He's going against Ted Cruz. Talk about what's going on, because the state of Texas politics really does influence a lot of what happens in our country.
It really does. And if people want to know how true that is, you can just look at the speaker lineup at the DNC. There were a lot of Texans on that stage, myself included. And here in Texas, we have this incredible opportunity to flip a Senate seat and to maintain control of the U.S. Senate coming from the state of Texas. And the thing is, so many people will tell you, Texas isn't competitive. We're not going to be able to make this flip. And to that, I have to say, you don't have to look at what the Democrats are saying about Texas. You got to look at how Ted Cruz is spending his money and how the NRSC is getting involved now. And it's because they're not confident that he can win this race. But me as a Texas Democrat, as someone who's voting for Colin Allred, who supports Colin Allred, I know that he can flip this seat, and I know that he can beat Ted Cruz. And Ted Cruz knows that too, which is why the Texas GOP and these Republicans are working so hard to try to push him over the finish line.
Olivia, you had an amazing speech at the DNC alongside others, especially, I'll call you younger folk. You guys did such a great job. But as a result of being such an effective surrogate and advocate, you have received a massive amount of hate online from right-wing internet trolls. And frankly, not even just from the internet trolls. I'm talking from Republican trolls. In response, you posted the following: to be a young woman on stage at the DNC is to have millions of men across the country immediately body shame you and call you horrible things. And to those men, I say this: keep it coming. I mean, Olivia, why is it that the vitriol and the attacks about physical appearance seems to be the default state for Republicans these days?
Well, I mean, if you look at the laws and the legislation that they put forward when it comes to women's rights, it's about controlling women, and it's about trying to make women feel small and trying to make them feel less.
Oh, I think we may have. Oh, there we go.
They see a young woman who's very unapologetic about her beliefs, who's from Texas, and because they can't control me, they can't control the narrative around my beliefs, they immediately try to do what men have done throughout history, which is make women feel bad about the way they look. Unfortunately for them, that's not going to work for me when I'm fighting for women's very fundamental freedoms here in this country. It's not going to work.
Also, during your DNC speech, you highlighted something, specifically the Republican voter suppression tactics that we're seeing in Texas. The Texas Attorney General raid happened at homes of several Latino civil rights group members as a part of a, quote, ongoing election integrity investigation. And as a Texan, what do you make of these voter intimidation tactics that are being perpetrated by the GOP, not only in Texas, mind you, but in other states?
It's desperation. I mean, that's really what it is at the end of the day, is they see the impending reality, especially here in Texas, that people are sick and tired of being sick and tired. They're sick of the corruption, especially when it comes from men like Ken Paxton, who frankly has been under federal indictment his entire time as Attorney General. And they understand that at this point, the only way that they can continue to win elections is by suppressing voters, by making voters feel apathetic. And so they continue to do these things over and over again. And it just coincidentally always happens to be during election years that these scandals come out.
Yeah, there's no coincidence ever. Olivia Juliana, I want to tell you that you are inspiration. You are inspiration for me, and I know for countless others. So thank you for tirelessly doing the work. It'll pay off. It already has. Olivia Juliana, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.